heard of it, but I didn't watch it.
Yeah, it's really an incredible film. It's a little indie film that Billy Bob Thornton wrote, and it started out as a short film, and he first made it as a short, and then he got financing to make the feature-length film, and he plays a mentally handicapped man who befriends a little boy, and you know, there's conflict within the little boy's family because the husband beats the mother, or the boyfriend, or whatever he is, beats the mother, and it's just this beautiful relationship between this little boy and this mentally handicapped man. And so I would say really probably Billy Bob Thornton was my first actor who I really went, wow, and that movie. So I would say those were the guys.
Well, I watched you in a video, Mistake by Stephanie McIntosh. What was it like making that video, and how did you get it?
I look like such a dork in that video.
You looked preppy.
Yeah.
But you were her savior too, so that's a good thing.
Yeah, that was aside from the wardrobe disaster. That was really, really fun. I got that gig because that was a little bit after Desperate Housewives, and around the time I was on Desperate Housewives, I had an agent in London, actually. He called me, well, he called my manager here and said, hey, I've seen Ryan on the show because Housewives was already being syndicated or airing in the UK, and he said, I think I can really do some good for Ryan, and I would love to have him come over here and take meetings. And so I went over to London, took a bunch of meetings, and that's actually how I got Doctor Who as well. It came from one of those meetings. Yeah, and so not too long, I think, after I was back in the States, he called and he said, hey, I just had a meeting with a colleague of mine. They are casting this video for this Australian actress named Stephanie McIntosh, and they think Ryan would be perfect. Do you want to do it? And, you know, here's how much you'll get paid, and you'll be in Sydney, Australia for a week or something like that. And I was like, are you kidding? I'd always wanted to go to Australia. In fact, when I was in Duke, I thought that I might want to study abroad in Australia for a semester. So I got to go to Australia for a week. I did this video. All the people were amazing. They treated me really, really well. Steph is a total sweetheart, and I fell in love with a British girl while I was there, and it was like, you know, it was one of those moments in life
that you'll never forget. Yeah.
Yeah. No.
And
never,
it ended up opening
never.
doors for you too. So that's even better yet.
Yeah, definitely.
Well, in Desperate Housewives, you played Justin, and, of course, I remember that because I watched every episode. What was it like being on the show with predominantly strong women and working with Marsha Cross?
Oh, it was great being on the show. I mean, Marsha, every time somebody asks me about Marsha, I just crack up because she is so, like, in her Marsha, her normal persona, her personality is so much the opposite of Bree on the show.
Oh,
I mean, it's like,
thank God.
Oh, well, yeah. yeah, right? Thank God for her. But yeah, she's like night and day, and she was a blast to work with and be around, and just so much fun, and as was Eva Longoria. Eva was just like, she was such a professional and just so sweet. And I tell this story a lot, so some people have probably already heard this, but I just think it's such a good, well, it's just such a good characterization of my impression of who Eva is. When I was still on the show, at some point my parents came out to visit, and I took them to the Housewives set. And we walked down to where they were filming, and Eva and Ricardo, who played her husband on the show, were sitting there. They were filming a scene, but they were just taking a break in between shots. And I walked over and I introduced my parents, and Eva just like, I mean, Ricardo was really gracious and kind as well. But Eva jumped up, came and gave them hugs, like, was just so gregarious and wanted to get to know them. And she said, "Oh, let me get you guys headphones so you can listen. When we go back to filming the scene again, you can sit in front of the monitors and listen."
Oh, that
and
was
she got
so
him,
sweet.
Yeah. I mean, I was really shocked at just how warm she was. She got him headphones and she just treated them like they belonged there. And so, you know, my time on that show was really a huge blessing, and it garnered a lot of connections for me, and it opened a lot of doors as well.
Yeah, and you played with some great talent on that show.
Yeah.
I was sorry to see it end, but I know all things have to come to an end eventually.
Yeah. And it was you know, it was like being a part of television history in a way, I guess, because that show was so big for a while.
Exactly. Now, when you played in a few different type sci-fi shows, which I don't really watch them, I'm sorry to say. I've watched a few, but one of the shows you were a half man, half pig. I find it so funny.
Yeah.
Did they put you in a costume, or was it elaborate makeup?
Well, both. That was Doctor Who, and I just got this image in my head of, you know, when people dress up as like the donkey when there's two people inside the donkey suit. that was the image that just came into my mind. But it was surprisingly enough, it was not that. They sort of just gave me a brown jumpsuit with some brown work boot type boots, and that was all the bottom half. And then there was really elaborate makeup. I had between 2.5 and 3 hours of prosthetic makeup every morning.
Oh my gosh.
And then it took about 45 minutes to an hour to get it off at night, and that was how they transformed me into half man, half pig.
Well, what did you do while they were putting the prosthetics on you? Did you listen to music? I mean, what do you do during that 2 hours of getting made up?
Well, I would have loved to have been able to have slept, because I didn't get a lot of sleep on that shoot, and it was really early mornings because of all the makeup. But, no, I think we definitely listened to a lot of music, and we just talked. I mean, that was about all I could do, was talk to my makeup artist and the other makeup artists and the other actors who happened to be in the trailer when they came in. And, you know, I learned a lot about the Welsh people, and because it's filmed in Wales. Mm-hmm. And, you know, they told me funny stories of being Welsh and some of the people that they'd worked with. And, I mean, that was pretty much it, just really talking and connecting with people.
Is the makeup really heavy and the prosthetics really heavy? I mean, is that something that, like, at the end of the day you just couldn't wait to get off?
Yes. It's the only time I've ever had prosthetics, so I can't compare it and say it was heavier or lighter than another time. But, I mean, I was wearing a full-on pig snout, and they sort of, they added texture and depth to the rest of it to sort of give me animal-like wrinkles in my skin. And then it just sort of blended into my forehead and blended into my cheeks. But at the end of the day, at times it would come off all in one piece, and it would sort of be like a mask that I was wearing. But yeah, it was, by the end of the day, I absolutely want to get off my face as fast as possible.
I can imagine.
I can imagine.
David, I know you watched it because you knew exactly what I was talking about when I told you earlier. What did you think? How good was it?
I actually just caught a blurb of it. I remember it, but I didn't see the entire show. But that is, I got to say, that's your main picture on the IMDb page.
Oh, no.
Is it really?
Yeah. It is.
Oh, how funny. I didn't even know that.
Oh, my gosh. You're kidding.
Yeah.
Well, I think you need to fix that,
reminded
Ryan.
Me.
Yeah. That's really funny.
Oh, my gosh.
like my profile picture on the IMDb page.
Yeah, on the mobile one. Yeah.
On the mobile one.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
That's funny. I didn't know that because I'm never on the mobile site, and usually when I'm on IMDb, I'm on the IMDb Pro, which you have to have a membership for.
Yep, that's mine. I'm on it. That's the one.
Okay, because I'm looking at the IMDb page on my desktop, and it's a regular picture of you, Ryan. So it's only the mobile then. Oh my gosh.
That's great. Imagine. I kind of like that. That's really funny.
Yeah. And if they look at that, you'll be getting a lot of calls to do more sci-fi as a pig.
Well,
that's
great.
Funny. Well,
I was just going to say I really like doing sci-fi. It's quite fun. Yeah.
Well, it's different than what you normally do, so it gives you a stretch as an actor to show your talent in different ways.
Yeah.
On General Hospital, you played Lucas Jones. What did you learn from working on a soap?
I learned how to be good on either the first or second take. Because in soaps, that's really all you get. I mean, I use the term good loosely. Let me say this. I learned how to get all my lines right on the first or second take. Whether or not I was always good is up for debate. But yeah, because I mean, in Soapland, it's like you get one take. If you're really lucky, you get two, and then they're moving on. And so that was definitely one learning, and I think that I also learned. I think I learned how to know where the camera is at all times, because, and I mean that may sound silly, because usually on most sets there's one camera and maybe two sometimes, like on sitcoms there's two, but it's important to know where the camera is, and it's important to know which camera is actually on. At that like on me at that moment. And on soaps there's 4 cameras, and you can know which one is on because there's a little red light on top that blinks on when that one is actually the one that's being filmed. So I learned how to see the little red light no, it's not a little red light, it's like a few inches on
I would
top of the camera.
hope so.
Yeah. I learned how to spot that out of the corner of my eye and still be connected and present in the scene, and as a result, always knowing where the camera was. And I think that's a valuable skill to have.
Most definitely, especially when there's so many cameras around. I could see it being very confusing.
Yeah.
Who was your favorite to work with or just hang out with on the set?
Oh, you want me to play favorites, huh?
Well, let's put it this way. One of your favorites, so nobody gets left out.
Kelly Monaco.
Oh, I could see that.
I say that only because she's just stunning and gorgeous. I would say, but I never worked with Kelly. I would say, I don't know. I had fun with everybody. I had fun with Lindsay, with Adrian, and with Scott. I mean, I guess I would say Scott only because I spent the most time outside of work with Scott. I actually played a benefit show because, I'm sure everybody probably knows Scott sings and is a songwriter.
Right.
And he did a benefit show at B.B. King's at Universal City Walk around the time that I was on the show, and he knew that I was a drummer and asked me if I would play with him on drums, and I said, yeah, man, I would love to. It's been so long since I've played live, and so we had a lot of rehearsals with he and his other bandmates, and then we did the show together, and it was a blast, man. It was really, really fun. So, yeah, I spent the most time with him, so I would say Scott.
Well, that's nice, see? That wasn't so bad. You mentioned a few people, so nobody can be, feeling left out, Now, would you ever do another soap? Although, of course, there's not that many left anymore. But good thing is, All My Children and One Life to Live are coming out on on the internet, so there will be a few more going that route. Would you ever consider doing it?
Yeah, absolutely. I would love to. I think